Hi everybody, today is March 4th, 2014. Russia's claiming that China has their back. I don't know, maybe. Here's an article that I put together for you. China backs principles on Ukraine as Russia claims agreement. China, which constantly says it opposes interference in other countries' internal affairs, is looking to maintain principles on Ukraine, it said Monday after Russia insisted the two were in broad agreement. Moscow has appeared keen to stress that it has a major international ally on its military intervention in Ukraine, but Beijing frequently backs its position against Western powers on thorny issues such as the protracted conflict in Syria. But analysts say China is torn between wanting to support Russia and keeping to its longtime opposition to foreign intervention, especially given its own separatist issue in the far western region of Xinjiang. When asked about Ukraine at a regular press briefing on Monday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Qin Gang answered indirectly. The question put to him was, China says not to interfere in others' internal affairs is its long-standing position, and that it takes into account the historical facts and the realistic complexity of the Ukrainian issue. What do you mean by historical facts? Does China view Russia's operation in Crimea as interference in Ukraine's internal affairs? His answer, China has made clear of its position on the Ukrainian issue. As for the historical facts of this issue, please review or refer to the history of Ukraine and this region. I believe that you will understand what we mean after learning about relevant history. On your second question, please have a complete and comprehensive understanding of China's position. We uphold the principle of non-interference in others' internal affairs and respect international law and widely recognized norms governing international relations. Meanwhile, we take into account the historical facts and realistic complexity of the Ukrainian issue. You may also analyze why the situation in Ukraine is what it is today based on activities and behaviors of relevant parties in the past months. Question. China and Russian foreign ministers had a telephone conversation yesterday. The Russian side says that China backs Russia's position on the Ukrainian issue. What is China's comment? Please give us more details and China's position on the Ukrainian issue. Answer. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov had a telephone conversation yesterday. Foreign Minister Lavrov talked about Russia's position and viewpoint on the current situation in Ukraine, and the two sides had an in-depth exchange of views on that. Both believe that a proper settlement of the Ukrainian crisis is of vital importance to regional peace and stability. We have already issued China's principle and position on the Ukrainian issue. Quinn also referred to his statement posted on the ministry website a day earlier, which said that on one hand that China had long maintained a principle of non-interference in internal affairs of other countries and respects Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. But it also noted that there was reasons that the Ukrainian situation is what it is today. Here's what they said on March 3rd. The Russian parliament approved the use of forces against Ukraine. Does China offer diplomatic support to Russia? Does China recognize the new Ukrainian government? Answer. On your first question, please refer to the remarks I made yesterday. With respect to the Ukrainian issue, we uphold China's long-standing diplomatic principles and basic norms governing international relations, and also take into account the history and complexity of the issue. It is fair to say that our position, which is objective, fair, just, and peaceful, follows both principles and facts. On the second question, judgment needs to be made based on laws of Ukraine. Here is that earlier comment. Question. On March 1st, the Russian Federation Council authorized Russian President Vladimir Putin to use armed forces in order to protect Russian and Russian military officers and soldiers in Ukraine. What is China's comment on the current situation in Ukraine? His answer. China is deeply concerned about the current situation in Ukraine. We condemn the recent extreme and violent acts there and have been urging the relevant parties in Ukraine to resolve their internal disputes peacefully within the legal framework so as to safeguard the lawful rights and interests of all ethnic communities in Ukraine and restore normal society order at that earlier date. It is China's long-standing position not to interfere in others' internal affairs. We respect the independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Ukraine. There are reasons for why the situation in Ukraine is what it is today. China will follow the development of the situation closely and call on relevant parties to seek a political resolution of their differences through dialogue and negotiation based on respect for international law and norms governing international relations in order to uphold regional peace and stability. Nugent, a professor of international affairs at Peking University, said China wanted to maintain its relationship with Russia, yet had strong concerns about foreign intervention. It is all very inconvenient, he said. That's why they came out with a statement nobody can understand. What this statement is really saying is what Russia did was not right, and China does not want to support this military invasion. But China also wants to support Russia. So it came up with excuses such as Russia's history with Crimea and Ukraine's internal situation, he said. Yet at the same time, they realize this excuse doesn't hold water. So they also threw in a mention of sovereignty and territorial integrity. Earlier, Moscow's foreign ministry said in a statement that Minister Sergei Lavrov and his Chinese counterpart, Wang Yi, in a phone call noted broadly coinciding points of the view of Russia and China over the situation that has developed in the country and around it. Yet China's account of the conversation was less direct, saying that the two men thoroughly exchanged views on the matter and agreed that appropriately resolving the situation was important to regional peace and stability. Russia has found itself internationally isolated over its covert military intervention in Ukraine, and on Monday its stocks and currency collapsed amid fears of a prolonged campaign. The other members of the G8 on Sunday released a statement condemning Russia for violating international law and suspending their participation in a G8 summit set to be held in Sochi in June. China is not a member of the G8. China and Russia cooperated on vetoing 3 UN Security Council resolutions to put pressure on Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, although they voted through a resolution this month on allowing in humanitarian aid convoys. Alright, so put your comments down below. Bookmark my site. I'll keep you up to date. Please stay safe. And I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.